Welcome everyone to another episode of the Ol'Timers comic book show, the only show where the hosts aren't old, but the comics most certainly are. We are 5 weeks in the NFL season, and all our teams suck. Although somehow or another, one of the bad teams has to win tonight. Isn't that right, Professor?
It's true. Someone has to win and someone has to lose. So,
oh man, I read somewhere that the Patriots, on average, score 13 points a game, and the Dolphins score 11. So look out for that safety. The safety's going to call it.
We'll see. We'll see. I have no faith in my team this year. So, and I have no faith in your team either. So,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
I have a friend at my place of where I used to work, and we're doing this round robin thing where you pick 4 teams. For the last 2 weeks, I have picked Seattle over Miami. I've picked Patriots over Miami. That's how bad I think we are. Mind you, there's bad, and then there's Giants.
Yeah, we're all 1-3 at this moment. And how could you not pick the team that's averaging 13 points? That's the one I'm going with today.
Well, I heard you weren't here last week because you were trying out for the Giants at quarterback. But I then heard that because they'd retired number 13 and Kurt Warner, you were like, nope, I'm not doing this. I can throw the ball 90 yards, but I'm not playing if I can't wear 13. Is that not the case?
I turned them down.
13 times they asked.
Yeah. The gag also works for the Dolphins. If you go and try and sign for the Dolphins as a 13th Crusader, you're not getting the number 13 there either. Soz.
That is true.
It might happen with the Niners as well. You never know. Anyway, enough football. Well, if you can go what we like, football, I was like, oh my god.
Thank goodness for comics, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, you'd say that, but then someone goes and picks an absolute dud.
Who's that?
Rhymes with Bud.
Hey! I'm trying to keep things interesting, and I think we all wish we could have spin-off teams to this week.
Yeah, that's true. I'm shouting for the Miami Hurricanes. All right, okay.
Celtics start in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, cool. And who have you got? You've got the Yankees downstairs, hasn't he? That's who he'll be shouting for. All right, so this is the theme of the show. We're talking about teams that have span out of other teams. So think about Justice League out of the Justice Society of America, maybe. No, is that too far a stretch?
I think so. Yeah, no, I think you could actually go Justice League is the spawn of a Justice Society. That's true. I think you could even do Teen Titans as a spawn of the Justice League.
Yeah. Perfect.
I mean, if we're going to do that, that's all legit. But there's a ton of Justice League teams that have spun off of the Justice League.
Yeah. Who do you think? A question to you both. Who do you think is the one team that has spanned more other teams or more other books?
The X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
I say the Avengers are close.
Really? I can't remember reading the Westlake Avengers book.
Yeah, but X-Men's up there for sure.
In the Bendis era of the Avengers, we had Secret Avengers and New Avengers and Mighty Avengers and Ultimates, and so
Avengers versus X-Men came the Uncanny Avengers.
Yep.
So I mean, but they're too new. We don't want to talk about stuff like that. That's too new.
Within our timeline, we can do X-Men, New Mutants, X-Force, 2 different teams of X-Men, right? Excalibur.
Right. I forgot about Excalibur.
Yep.
Could you say? Here's a pretentious comment for you, coming. Could you say that the Batman book is a spin-off of Detective Comics?
Yes, actually, you could. Same as Superman is a spin-off of Action Comics.
There we go. I mean, Superman
So when
but at one point there was the Action Comics, there was Man of Steel, there was Adventures of Superman and Superman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when your hero becomes popular enough to warrant his own book, I don't know if that, I mean that's kind of a loose interpretation of the spinoff, but the spinoff really, if we're talking about the teams, right? So we're talking about companies want to make more money. So let's put the Justice League on a bunch of different stuff. Let's put X-Men. How many books a month can retailers support?
Yeah,
and they will do as many as possible. That's why we had 17 Spider-Man books at some point, or if you even if we talking like loose spin-offs, I mean, then you're talking about single solo characters getting their own books, like Wolverine,
right?
Or Deadpool.
Yeah. So apart from the ones we've picked that we're going to talk about, Excalibur's a great shout. Wish I thought of Excalibur.
Yeah.
Damn it.
There was a good run in there. The first half of the run. The second half was oof.
So I think of it as 3 acts. The first act, great, Claremont and Davis, great. Davis leaves and then it sinks, and then Davis comes back as the writer artist and gets pretty good again. So
sorry, Machine, you weren't worthy to lift Excalibur, I guess.
Yes, well, that's true. That's true. Thor's hammer in Excalibur eludes me. What can I say? 13, what about yourself? We've talked about Excalibur and the X books. Any other books that you think, other than the ones that we're talking about today, that warrant a little bit of side team action?
Didn't Power Pack come out of Fantastic Four? Or am I misremembering?
You're misremembering.
I thought that was.
They ended up tying in Fantastic Four to Power Pack later with Franklin, but Power Pack was their own thing when they did their first appearance.
Yeah,
and then they quickly tied them into X-Men, and then Fantastic Four.
Because they're not mutants, of course. They got the powers from Whitey.
Yeah.
That's the alien, not the drug. In case anybody starts sending me mail, thanks.
Yeah, but they tied them in with the Morlocks. Remember the Morlock massacre? The Fall of the Mutants. They were in there. So
Cloak and Dagger, original items that ended up just being part of.
They had their limited series.
Yeah, it's interesting when we think about it. I think Marvel is the daddy of all these side teams. I don't think there's that many side teams in DC.
They were throwing teams together just because, right? The champions. Come on!
Don't knock the champions.
The champions or the defenders were because let's put the defenders together because there's 4 guys that aren't on teams. Let's put them on a team.
Well, Machine, I was going to bring up the Guardians, the Global Guardians.
From?
That came out of Justice League.
There you go, Global Guardians. Yeah, cool. A bit of a.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah, that's you're going down the rabbit hole there, my friend. The rabbit hole. All right, as is our normal, he's here. We're going with the Crusaders' first choice, and you know what? It's an absolute beauty. Although I don't remember it as well as you do, because I remember the book predominantly. He says, thinking that he should have shared the screen before we started this conversation. There it is. I remember this one before the one we're going to talk about. He says, trying to put it in. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Vindicator taking on Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a Dave Cockrum cover?
That looks like his art on the
Yeah.
Cockrum cover, but Byrne interior, right?
Hope so, because the notes I've got regarding this book is quite substantial. So let's have a quick look and see what we've got. We are talking, of course, about Alpha Flight. All right. So Alpha Flight, born from the X-Men. This is Vindicator's first appearance, I think. But the team first appeared, and we're going to have a look at it quickly, in X-Men 120 and 121. So roughly around May 83. Alpha Flight number 1 you can get for £25 on eBay. Go collect a grade 9 will cost you $34. If you are interested in the very first appearance, that's X-Men 120. That's of the team. Then it's eBay 35, go collect $130. Are you kidding me? Really?
Well, that's because it's the Claremont Burn run of X-Men, right? All those issues are a little inflated.
All right. Okay, so Alpha Flight, created by, written by, drawn by, stapled by John Byrne. Letters by Joe Rosen and Andy. I'm going to say Yanchus, but I've probably said it wrong. But there you go. 13. This is your choice. Why Alpha Flight? We talked about Alpha Flight a while ago because I had the thing for redheads in power suits. So
well, we're talking about teams, spin-off teams. So the answer's on the cover of Alpha Flight #1, where it says "exploding from the pages of the X-Men." But as you said, that the Vindicator's first appearance in X-Men 109, the story is pretty short and sweet, where basically where we get a glimpse into Wolverine's past, because remember at this time we didn't really know too much about Wolverine, and essentially he was part of the Canadian government, or a project, that, if you will, and the intent there was for him to lead a group of super powered agents on behalf of the Canadian government. So in X-Men 109, Vindicator goes to try to retrieve Wolverine. It was a pitiful attempt. And in the pages of X-Men 120 and 121, Vindicator brings friends with him to try to retrieve Wolverine. And they try to bring it onto their home turf in Canada. So again, it's classic Byrne art, Chris Claremont, for the pages of 120 and 121. But that's basically the gist of it, where they're like, Alpha Flight comes out and says, listen, we don't want to fight you guys. We're just here for Wolverine. But the X-Men, of course, they're like, no, he's one of us. So we'll fight for him if we have to. And they do.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? He's Wolverine. He's like the Marvel's cash cow up there with Spider-Man. We want Wolverine on our team because our book sucks without him. Yes, it does.
Yep. So then you can fast forward later on. I think it was X-Men 139, if my memory's right. But that's when they fight the Wendigo. And of course, we remember him from Wolverine's very first appearance alongside the Hulk fighting this creature. Was like a triple threat. So that's all we knew of Alpha Flight up until this very issue here with Alpha Flight #1. And the idea here was Marvel was the one that approached John Byrne and said, hey, listen, you're doing such a great job on the X-Men, and this team that you created for the pages of the X-Men, Alpha Flight, why don't you try your hand at this? So John Byrne expanded the roster a little bit, and here we have Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight is born. And I remember as a kid getting this issue only because of the cover.
Really? You Canadian by heart?
No, because of all the other heroes that were on it. I thought this was like a major event that was about to happen.
Okay.
And then I opened the pages. I'm like, where's Spider-Man? Where are the Avengers?
Can we just say that I don't think, I'll say this now, that John Byrne draws a good Spider-Man. I don't think Byrne's Spider-Man's up there.
I would tend to agree with you.
He does look a little lean.
Even in Marvel Team Up, I don't think Spider-Man's drawn particularly well. So, hey ho. Sorry, I interjected. Carry on.
No, we talk about John Byrne Spider-Man. I think he looks too solid. You know, I think he looks too solid. I think Spider-Man should always look fluid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Spider-Man, if you've got Spider-Man standing up, you've missed the point. Yeah, you've missed the point. Yeah. Sorry, 13. We digressed there. Sorry.
No, good. When I was younger, my friends and I always used to say, like, hey, listen, sometimes you'll see some gimmicks, and I felt like this is the first time I got gimmicked or tricked into buying a book because of the cover. I was young and inexperienced. What can you say? But the interest was there because what salvaged it for me was that this did come out of the X-Men. And for what little we knew of Wolverine, what little did we know about Alpha Flight as well. So it's just like another corner turned to try and find out and learn more about a new group of heroes that are coming about in the Marvel universe. So, um, with John Byrne at the helm here, the story basically is getting to know Alpha Flight a little bit better. There's a good recap of all of the previous experiences that we've just covered now. Oh yeah, so I was right. 139 through 140 with the Wendigo story. But
Well done.
you know, you get that quick recap. You get a quick structure of how Alpha Flight was designed, where they would have an Alpha, Beta, and Gamma team. Some of these characters you'll see here. Some of these others you'll see debut later on, and others may even further down the line. So, but this was the very beginning of this, and it was kind of a depressing start because this is a government-funded project, if you will, and already they're issue number one. They're showing that there's no money.
Yeah, budget cuts.
Yeah, there's no funding for this. There's nothing for this. So normally you have funding and no members to make your team. Here it's backwards. You have a team and then there's no more funding. So Vindicator, obviously, he was never really portrayed as a villain, which is interesting in the pages of the X-Men. His main thing was just to try to do whatever the government asked of him. So in a way, he has that sense of loyalty to the Canadian government. But
It's like Captain. It's like
correct,
Captain Canada. Captain Canada, basically, what we're saying.
exactly. So with this story, you have one guy who basically um, mystically creates a creature out of the earth in Canadian soil, the tundra, and that brings the team back together. I'm not going to go too much in a story, but they always, this reminds me a lot of like the way the new X-Men came together when they had to go to Krakoa.
All right, okay.
And here you are where you have a big Earth-like creature running around in Canada, and it kind of brings the team back together.
But that's a Marvel staple. Fantastic Four was a monster book when it started.
hmm
You know, this is like staple. This is like we have no idea of any recurring villains yet. We don't know who the big bad is. We don't know how the team's dynamics going to work. Let's just throw a monster in there and see what happens.
hmm Yeah, and I think it served its purpose as far as getting to more panels with these characters and showcasing their abilities and maybe a little glimpse into their personal lives. So it is definitely a getting to know Alpha Flight and then quickly learning what they can do together. One thing that up to this point in the pages of the X-Men, it was stated that these guys trained well together. They were very well coordinated on the field, if you will. And that's demonstrated here as well. So I think it was a successful debut issue. I'm not going to say it was the greatest ever, but it was successful enough. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. This run lasted quite a long time.
That's true.
Byrne, I think, was only on it for like the first 20, 30 issues. And then after that, it was picked up from there. But Marvel kept it going. And what I did like in here, you know, it's typical Byrne art, as we always talk about. And there is a little bit of humor in here, especially when it comes to Puck in the story. But it is a sort of coming together. And you're there from the ground up with the reformation of Alpha Flight, starting with issue 1. I was just a little upset that I got duped by the cover, but other than that, I thought it was okay.
Okay, good show. I agree with you. I thought this was an interesting read, but man, it took some time. Professor.
So I actually was a fan of Byrne's run on Alpha Flight, and of course, it quickly fell off after Byrne left because I just don't think anybody else really knew or was interested in doing anything with it.
Okay, to be honest.
Oh yeah, cared too. I enjoyed the what Byrne tried to do as far as bringing in Canadian traditions, mythology, like the Native Americans aren't just United States, you know, they're in Canada too, and tried to bring those in. I love the characters. The characters still resonate with me when I see them today. I really liked that run of Alpha Flight, but if you read the first couple of years of Byrne's run on Alpha Flight, they're not really a team. They come together in the first issue, and then the next year they don't get back together again all together until issue 12. Like the rest, that issues 2 through 11 are solo issues for each individual character, and then they all come back in issue 12 where they kill off Guardian or
I
Vindicator.
was gonna say that, but like the first 12 issues to me were interesting, but it was a slow burn.
Yeah,
No pun intended.
but yeah, that's and I don't know if that was really to Byrne's detriment on the book, because I kind of think that the casual fan would have picked it up and been like, oh, it's just, it's a North Star issue. Who cares about him? Or a Sasquatch issue, or a Snowbird, who was, she was the most complicated of all of the Alpha Flight members, maybe except for Marina. But they never, she was too complicated, I think. If you were like, you wouldn't sit there and read the whole issue.
Mariner was fishy.
But yeah, I loved the spin-off thing. It was a great thing for Byrne to come in after X-Men. And this is shortly after this. He was doing Alpha Flight and Fantastic Four at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
it was Byrne mania.
Yeah, but and I think I read an interview with Byrne too, that he didn't care about the book, right? He was just doing it for the paycheck. Is that what did I read that correctly?
For Alpha Flight.
For Alpha Flight.
Alpha Flight, again, he developed the team for the X-Men.
He thought they were boring.
He basically developed them as a team for for the X-Men to battle, but kind of get away with the battle. You know what I mean? Like kind of survive the battle with the X-Men, but then Marvel was like, hey, this got attention of some of the readers. I think you should work more on this. And then he's like, fine.
Yeah. Like he wasn't invested in the team, so to speak, like he was with the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. So, but I think that's kind of Alpha Flight's curse, right? Not really anybody is really invested in them.
I think when it comes to Marvel, unless you've got the word X or Avenger in your title, you're on a bit of a losing streak when it comes to teams. Same with DC, unless you have the word Justice in there somewhere, you're pretty much dying a death. It's ironic because we're going to talk to you about your book in a little bit, and there's a character in there that comes gets like kind of a rehash but doesn't. And the idea, I think, of your book, your choice is that it's like, right, this is the character that everybody likes, so this is the one that's going to be in the book for absolutely no reason whatsoever. But Alpha Flight, is this John Byrne's version? Is this his finger to Marvel to say, you know what, I can do it better than Chris Claremont, and then goes out and does exactly the same thing with tons of writing, tons of exposition, and some great pencils. And I think that's the thing. It's the pencils that saved this book for sure. The fact that you lose Vindicator after a year shows that we don't know what we've got. We don't know what's working. We just know that this book isn't quite right somewhere, so we'll lose him and change it up. Because if you think about it, Vindicator's Cyclops.
Yep.
Sasquatch is Beast. Puck is Wolverine. Aurora is the Dark Phoenix because she's got crazy stuff going on in her head. She doesn't like being Aurora. And Mariana and Snowbird's some sort of waif like Jean Grey clones who just seem to sort of like move through the book. And Snowbird is so complicated, as you said. You want to get to know because it's a great design, but it's like after a while you're like, I just genuinely don't care anymore. It's like what. Well,
the thing. So and yeah, what you said, but with these focuses on the first issue on the solo people, like sometimes you go for 5 or 6 issues before you saw Snowbird again, and then you were like, well, I don't care, right?
Yeah, who's this? Yeah. I think the book. I agree with you that I like the Canadian aspects in there, Canadian mythology. I like the fact there's some French Canadians in there as well. So it's like of its era, of its place, I guess. But then somewhere along the line, people just don't. It just doesn't work somewhere, and they get rid of Guardian, and then Heather becomes get rid of Vindicator, then Heather becomes Vindicator, then she becomes Guardian, and then he comes back, and then it's just a great big mess of who really cares. And that's the way it is until it gets to 106 with the idea that North Star's gay comes out and they have a gay marriage later after that, and that's pretty much what everyone remembers about Alpha Flight. That's it.
Yep.
Which is really frustrating because, as you say, some of Burns' pencils are great.
Mm-hmm.
This was his prime Burn, I would say.
I think this is an ego trip. I don't know the guy, and if I'm speaking out of turn, Mr. Byrne, that's fine. I apologize, but I'll say this: this to me screams like ego trip. This is like, I'm going to do the X-Men. I'm going to do it better than Chris Claremont, and I'm going to do this, and that's how it. And this is kind of how it works. I mean, even Shaman's the same as Warbird or John Prout. Is it Warbird I'm thinking of? Thunderbird. There you go. So it was an interesting read for sure. It makes you, for me, I think it's a missed opportunity because I like some of these kind of like off kilter teams, and I think it's just a massive missed opportunity. But hey ho. But you're right, 13. It lasted for ages. It went into the hundreds. So I don't know how. So obviously, I'm talking rubbish.
Yeah, no, Marvel was just trying to ride John Byrne's coattails at this point.
Yep.
It was a symbiotic.
Sorry.
It was a symbiotic relationship if you think about it, because Byrne's success really was with Marvel, with the X-Men, and then vice versa. They're like, hey, Byrne, everybody wants to see your work, so try this.
Let's have more.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Alpha Flight, what a convoluted book. All right, so we're going to take a quick break for all of the shows, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to come with an absolute. I'm just going to leave it there, and you can make your own opinion now. All right.
It's definitely not Alpha.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. I'm not sure there's enough Greek alphabet letters we can use for it, but never mind. Here we go. It's time for a crisis. Here we go. There you go. Check out Crisis in the Toyverse for all your figure news. If anyone can tell me where to get McFarlane toys regularly in the UK, please let me know, because I am having an absolute nightmare trying to get some of these. But never mind. Cool. Although my local Forbidden Planet does have a couple of the double pack, so like the Wolverine and Dark Phoenix packs that have just come out of Marvel figures. Some of them look okay.
Can you just get them online?
From where?
I
ordered the Batgirl from Batman and Robin movie, along with the George Clooney Batman, because you know how much I love this movie. And I ordered it. I went online, found a toy store, sent that. I get an email off them. Yeah, we've got it. We'll send out. Fantastic, great, jobs are going. The day it arrives, I get an email. No phone call. Can we just bring Mr. Hughes? Yeah, that's me. Just let you know, you're going to get a parcel today. It's the wrong figure. I say, how do you know? He says, well, because your Batgirl figure went somewhere else and you've got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I'm like, what do I need a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle for? It's like I couldn't get it. I was like, Batgirl, Turtle. It's like alphabetically, they're so far away from each other. What sort of warehouse have you got that you missed package? It's like, I'm done. So I got it eventually, but still. So
did you get to keep the turtle?
We sold the turtle on eBay.
I won't tell anyone.
They didn't charge me for the turtle, and I sold it for eBay. So there you go. Right. Okay. This is our next book. Oh my god. So this is the professor's book, and now
It
normally
is.
the professor picks decent books. It's up to me to pick the dodgy ones, but hey ho. Right. So there's a host of creators in this one. I didn't know this when I wrote my notes, so apologies. But it's written by Marv Wolfman. Kerry Gamble is on the first book. A whole host of I think Phil Jimenez is on there as well. Adam Hughes, the Adam Hughes bit, spot on. The first story is inked by Wig Blyberg. Bob Pinania is on letters, and Adrian Roy, because it's DC, is on the colours. This is Teen Titans #1. Is the kilowatt issue. Which means it'll cost you on eBay somewhere between £3.50 to £5. Go Collect have it down as sold as $20, and that's really all Go Collect have. As you can see, 5 covers to collect. 5.
No, not 5 covers. It's 5 totally different issues.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's even worse.
So first, I would like to apologize to both you and 13. I kind of forgot that there was 5 separate issue ones, and I thought we would just read the first issue and that would be done. My bad.
You don't need to apologize, bud. This was my ultimate pleasure in reading this.
No, it wasn't. He's lying.
Well, I'm going to say to you know what, I think I remember buying this when I was buying comics the first time around. It is from '92, so it's in my wheelhouse from that period.
So here's the thing about this. This is peak 92 for you guys, right? So not only was it 5 separate Teen Titans issues, each one focusing on a different character that's on the Teen Titans, but each issue 1 had 5 covers. So if you wanted to get all of them, you would have had to get 25 copies to get each issue 1 with each 5 variant copy.
And this is an example of what was going on in the 90s. So this is like that whole multiple color thing. Legends of the Dark Knight had multiple different covers for no reason. X-Men #1 by Jim Lee had loads of different covers. Spider-Man, McFarlane's Spider-Man had variant covers, although that was just different inks. I'm not sure X-Force had different covers. So DC tried to pull this trick with this, but the problem is, DC, nobody cares about these characters. So nobody's going to buy 25 comics of people who don't care about.
I have news for you guys.
Oh, what, you care about them?
No, I bought them all. I have the whole run.
Oh, of course you did. Of course you did.
Yeah, no, I do too.
I was
the 92 was my height of speculation. So buying literally everything. And I was a fan of the Titans book that Wolfman was doing with Grummet at the time. And even though the lineup makes kind of a cameo appearance in the last story in this, but like I had to, like when they were showing like Panther and Red Star, and I'm like, oh wow, what a B team lineup. Not only for Team Titans, but for Teen Titans, it was a B team lineup. And so yeah, this was really kind of supposed to be like your introduction to the Teen Titans, who I think they appeared briefly in Teen Titans before they all spun off into this book. But they're 5. Well, 4 of the 5 characters are just like, who the hell remembers any of these people?
13 does. He remembers them all.
Yeah.
I was reading them and I'm like, I don't even remember. Like, I thank God the name for Kilowatt is on the cover, because I have no idea. Same thing with the girl with the wings, with the red wings. What's her name? Oh, Red Wing.
You know what? We're going to keep this issue. I'm going to keep it forever. Do you know why? Because this issue will be around on Jeopardy some point. I just know it will.
Well, so the thing is like if you're reading this, and I read this in the order that you sent it to us, 13, was kind of convoluted, right? I mean, the first few issues, you're kind of like, oh, okay. So, I mean, there's kind of tying into the stories on some pages. And eventually we kind of get to the point where they all meet and become a team. And I found myself like kind of just groaning about how long it took us to get to that point. And then by the end, so each of these first issues end, but then they don't go anywhere with the story. And thank God there was a little bit of the story at the end of this. I don't know if this was a trade paperback that we got sent, but
I don't know. Maybe this is all the collected issues. I don't know.
Yeah, but the basic storyline on this is this is a futuristic team of Titans. This book came out in 1992. The book is actually set in 1998, 1999, and 2000. So where it seems like, did this book come out in 2000? Was this a current book or not? As I was reading it, I was like, I don't remember when it came out, but 1992. So this was so 2000 was the future, and
oh man,
and it was a futuristic Teen Titans book where, of course, the future is always a bleak, dystopian future, right? And in this particular one is being run with an iron fist by Lord Chaos, one of the worst names in history. So Lord Chaos, where you find out later, is actually the grown son of Donna Troy and Terry. And
the clue's in the outfit, for Christ's sakes.
It is, yeah. They gave it away, but anyway, you find out these 5 members of this team are all they're all rebelling against the status quo, right? So rebellious teens, right?
Of course.
And the whole premise to the whole story in Team Titans too was that this futuristic team of Titans gets sent back to the past, which was our present at the time, to kill Lord Chaos as a baby in order to prevent their future from coming true, which is a paradox in itself, correct?
Sure.
Yep. Of course it is.
So,
because if he didn't exist, then the team wouldn't have founded, and then who would have sent them back in the first place?
Yeah. So already with Marv Wolfman, I kind of expected kind of a paper thin story, but really, yeah, this was really paper thin. The characters were just kind of thrown in there. The worst character is the vampire character. His name is Knight Rider.
No, the worst character. I'm sorry. I disagree with you on this one. I absolutely.
Is it the Terra remake?
The Terror. I don't understand why you would remake Terror and then have it do exactly the same thing that the original did. It's like, are you morons? Do you not think we read the Judas contract?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The only thing she did differently in this book, as opposed to in the Judas contract, is she didn't sleep with the bad guy. That was it.
Yet.
Not yet.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know. That probably didn't happen.
No, probably didn't. I think she was died in the Wool Hero after this book. But
yeah. So, and like I said, I apologize for making you guys read 5 issues of this stuff. It was not great. It was by the numbers, 100%. There's nothing really original in here. No original ideas. I did at the Adam Hughes pencils in the Red Wing story was the highlight for me.
For sure.
Other than that, I picked this book because I wanted it to be kind of out of the box. I didn't want to pick West Coast Avengers, which would have been my go-to, but we've talked West Coast before. Yeah. I wanted to talk a book we never talked about. And this was,
next time, pick Justice League Europe.
I did almost pick Justice League Europe. That would have been interesting.
I love that book.
There's and then there's Kevin Maguire pencils in here too. So that's
Don't worry,
Kevin,
Professor. These books are definitely out of the box. Trust me on that.
They should be burned in a box.
they're the only box they're in is the quarter box.
Yeah, not even that. 13. What was your take on this? 13, Mr. 25 issues of number.
We've
No, it was
already
only
established I have them all too. So
Yeah,
it.
well,
I have the whole run, but it was only 5 issues, not 25. Five
Right,
different editions.
okay.
Secondly, yeah, I mean, this had a lot. It reminded me a lot of several things. So to me, a Days of Future Past. We have a
Yep.
futuristic version of a team going into the past, into the timeline to try to change things around because the future is dystopian, chaotic, and all the above. There's a big threat looming. So it had that kind of vision to it. The other thing too reminded me of, believe it or not, were the Micronauts, where Baron Karza and his group pretty much ruled over their planet in the same
Mm,
fashion that Lord Chaos did. So his troopers here, Chaos's troopers, reminded me a lot of that. So to me, I was like, okay, I've seen this idea before, and then just throwing characters out there and throwing them up against the wall and see what sticks. I don't know if it was that successful. Obviously, we're the only ones that probably ever remember these guys. Um, the Night Ride, I was disappointed to not see David Hasselhoff in here,
They're
but
getting away, Michael.
yeah, I was like, what the hell? But I agree with a comment made earlier. The Adam Hughes pencils was something to look forward to. Same for Kevin McGuire, because I
Mm,
was familiar with that in the pages of the Justice League at this point. The Lord Chaos bit with his origin, with his mother being Donna Troy, and then his father being Terry, who had been around the Teen Titans for some time. The newer iteration of it, of course. Um, I was creeped out because part of the story was where, because he also, I guess, was in the past, he had to go and save himself. So in order to do that, he's there to deliver himself when he's born.
mm.
That was I was like, what?
Was Miss Marvel involved? That's all I want to know.
Machine took the words right out of my mouth because they reminded me of one of those freaky moments of in comics where you would never have remembered this in the pages of Teen Titans. Well, in the Ms. Marvel, at least Avengers 200 is spoken about,
right.
but in here, it's like this
Not
is
in a good way.
buried, and leave it buried where it is because this is crazy, and it only adds to the convoluted history of Donna Troy.
Mm. That's a call. For those of you who looking at the art and thinking, "Wow, Adam Hughes is great." Adam Hughes was absolutely fantastic. He's done a raft of covers on Justice Society. You'll see him all over things. If you are a Star Trek fan, there is a hardback graphic novel that came out in '92, so well within the remit of the show, called Debt of Honor, written by Chris Claremont with art by Adam Hughes. And it is, if you're a Star Trek fan, it is gorgeous. It reads brilliantly and it's absolutely spot on. So if you get a chance, look at that because that is gorgeous to say the least.
And
Right. Go ahead.
Machine, I'll add too that I agree with you 100% on the Terra bit, where you have all of these new characters, and then you're gonna throw in shades of an old one, and then throw in shades of the actions of the old one, the old character, and what she did. And then to boot, you have Deathstroke in here, and he's basically
Yeah,
hanging out with this new Terra as well as Beast Boy or Changeling.
it's
As
crazy.
like all of the trauma that they went through was gone in one panel.
It's terrible. Terrible. Mm. Yeah, we don't. I don't normally say this, but you're not missing anything if you don't pick up that book.
There was a long time when Wolfman and Perez were on Teen Titans. There was rumors and clamoring, I would say, for a Teen Titans East book, right, or Teen Titans West, or whatever they
Yeah,
were
yeah,
going to
yeah.
call it.
Hmm.
And it was a spin-off book that never ever happened. And they were talked about it in the letters page for literally years that it was a book that was coming and a book that was soon. And then this is the spin-off we got, which was Terrible.
See, I remember the Legionnaires coming out, which was a spin-off of
Mhm.
Legion of Superheroes. That was better than this.
Would
Oh,
you guys have bought a Justice League Detroit book?
Is that the one with?
that's Vibe and Gypsy and Vixen.
No, I avoid those like the plague, to be honest.
Yeah, because honestly, I thought about the Titans with the original run of the Teen Titans. There was like a Western faction.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that was the team that was supposed to get a spin-off, and that
Yeah,
team
right.
had what Bumblebee and
Right.
Maul and a couple of other. I can't even remember the B-list Titans that were on that team, but
They should have done it.
Yeah, they should have. It would have been interesting, and it would have been a shout out to the 60s and 70s Titans.
And they would have beat West Coast Avengers to the punch.
Yep, they would have been. Yep.
Right. It's been a while. It's been a while. I couldn't resist. See, the Professor is the better man. He resisted going Avengers. I couldn't resist all pointy ears, especially not when it involves Jim Aparo, who is my bat guy. So this is Batman and the Outsiders spinning off from, I'm going to say, the Justice League. Why am I going to say the Justice League? Well, that's a good question. Way back when, it's also spinning out of Brave and the Bold 200. But way back when Black Lightning was asked to join the Justice League by Superman, and he was like, I'm not joining you, jive turkeys. That's actually on the cover. Don't go look it up. It's fine. It's not me being funny. It says that already. So he's already done one. All right. So first appearance of Black Lightning is Black Lightning #1 from 1977. First appearance of Metamorpho is Brave and the Bold 57 from 1965. Wow, I didn't know I do this one. This is Batman and the Outsiders from July 83. On eBay, it will cost you £10. A grade 9 on Go Collect will cost you $38. Co-creators are Mike W. Barr. Jim Aparo is on art. Adrian Roy is on colors because it's a DC book. There is no letterer credited. Okay. First appearance of the Outsiders was in a special insert in Brave and the Bold 200. And basically, the premise of this book is that Lucius Fox is off to Markovia and he is there for Wayne Enterprises business and he gets kidnapped. Oh, no. So Bat says, right, don't worry. I'll sort this. Bruce Wayne will sort this. Bruce Wayne won't sort this. Fine. Bat will sort it with the Justice League. No, he won't. The Justice League saying, like, no, we're staying out of it. It's, countries and politics was doing all that. It's like, fine, I'll leave the league because it's Batman. That's what he does. And so he does. He leaves, goes on his own to rescue Lucius, and in the process of comes across a whole bunch of characters who just so happen to be in Markovia at the same time. Who'd have thunk that, right? I mean,
what a coincidence.
I know. Man, I tell you what, the travel agent must have loved that. Where do you want to go this summer, kids? Markovia's looking good. Right. Breon, we can't really say now because he's the brother of the ruler. So, yeah, he's supposed to be there. But everybody else, Black Lightning, Katana, Halo, if I missed anyone, Metamorpho. I have no idea what these people are in here for. It's Jim Aparo art, Batman being Batman, Halo's first appearance. So she's kind of like the snowbird of the team. There's lots of complicated stuff going on there. A reanimated corpse with powers. The team changes later on in the book. You get a telepath, probably one of the few telepaths in DC that isn't the Martian Manhunter or Miss Martian. I like the book. It's Jim Aparo. I love Jim Aparo. He's my Batman forever, so I'm never going to say anything bad about the art. Mike W. Barr, though, I think he gets a bit of a rough ride. His later run on Detective Comics is abysmal with the old chum thing going on between him and between Bruce and Jason. Thank God they got that done away with when Alan Grant came on the book. But overall, I think this is a great book. It's a great book. It's different. different characters. You've got Batman on there, so Batman fans are going to pick the book up and check it out. When the Poirot leaves the book, Alan Davis comes on, and Alan Davis is a gorgeous penciler as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you get like a win for win there. Eventually, Bats does leave the book. He becomes the Outsiders, and as you'd expect, gets cancelled pretty soon thereafter.
Of course.
Because it's Batman, right? So I liked it. I thought there's, the whole Markovia thing, Geoforce. This has been picked up and it's been used in Young Justice, season 3, with various changes to make it more today, I guess. But yeah, essentially it's there. Markovia's there, Brion's there, Black Lightning's there. The only person who's not there with any length of time is Bats, because it's Young Justice cartoon. But no, I thought this book was a fine read of its time for sure. For sure. We'll go with Professor. We'll go with 13 because he's our DC fan, and then we'll round off with Professor. So, 13, what do you think?
Well, unlike the Alpha Flight, how I got duped by the cover, and then Teen Titans, where, like Bud, I was in a speculative age, buying everything I saw. This one, I bought it because of the cover. However, you do get what you pay for here.
Of course you do.
So one of the things too, prior to Batman and the Outsiders, I had a big interest in the Batman family books, and I saw how successful, or at least in my eyes, that one run was, and how Batman reacted, and how his sidekicks behaved in the DC universe and whatnot. So here we are, where at this point in time I wasn't too familiar with these other characters individually, but if Batman's going to round them up for a certain cause, then that got my attention. Of course, Batman was getting everybody's attention, and the cover says it all. Like, screw you, Justice League. Justice League was a thing for DC, but this is kind of like the middle finger to the Justice League, and say, look, I do what I want with who I want to do it with. And I was like, oh, that seems very interesting. And it's also an issue 1, so why not?
So Batman falling out with Justice League I think this is the first instance where that happens, and then it becomes a bit of a recurring thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the behavior while he was with the team was also another thing, because Batman was getting darker by the day.
Yeah.
And then as we get later on into the 80s, it was darker by the panel. But here we are, with Batman and on a mission, obviously, and then you get introduced or reintroduced to certain DC characters. Like Metamorpho had been around for a bit. Same for Black Lightning. But none of them really had that success. And then the other thing, too, you got to look behind the scenes with why did this book come about? And that's basically the replacement for Brave and the Bold.
That's a good call. That is a good call.
So instead of having Batman pair up with somebody every month, somebody different, they were stabilizing it, if you will. So now this is formulating into a new run. And I did enjoy this run. I do own it. I do own the regular Outsiders run. So by that time, I got accustomed to, okay, well, Batman's not here anymore, but I had enough interest in the other characters by then to say, let me just continue with the run. But yeah, Jim Aparo art, I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's always good to see Jim Aparo art, so I have no qualms there.
I'm Jim Aparo. I'm Team Aparo over Team Adams. And I've said that more times than enough as well. I think Neil Adams' work on Batman is great. Don't get me wrong. I prefer his X-Men stuff by far. By far.
The only critique I had with this, and I'll leave it at that, is Batman slapping Superman's hand out of the way. His hand should have been broken, but other than that, I'm okay.
The only thing I'll say is I don't think Aparo draws the most attractive of women. As much as I dissed Burn for Spider-Man, that is an awful Wonder Woman. Just saying. Round off with the Professor.
So my biggest takeaway from this book is, I guess, something that we don't really ever see anymore is you have one A-list character captaining a team of decidedly D-listers, and having the book work and having really good stories kind of being told, because you can do things with D-list characters that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with Batman. So this, to me, this is like, I like teams like this, something where you have Batman being kind of the big character, bringing readers in and steering the book in a certain direction, but then you have a bunch of characters that maybe you don't really know tons about, but they're visually interesting and cool, and do different things. Like I when I picked up a couple of these issues, I didn't know who any of the other characters were. I loved Metamorpho because he just looked cool. You know, Black Lightning, I kind of thought was Black Vulcan from the Super Friends.
Probably was.
Well, he was to me.
Yeah.
And then the other characters like Katana and Halo, I didn't know at all. But getting to know these characters, and you know, now, like, of course, going outside of our timeline, and we know Katana ends up like in the Suicide Squad or something, and it's just like, you know, put her back in the Outsiders. You know, that was where I cared about these characters, and I thought they were cool. But being able to see, that was a shock to the system, right? We took Batman out of the Justice League and put him on the Outsiders with a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah.
We were like, what's Batman doing?
What's Tom Brady doing leaving the Patriots to go to the Buccaneers?
Right? Yeah, right. Exactly. Why would he do that? So it was an interesting book. And you're right, though. I mean, the only reason it sold was because of Batman. When it became the Outsiders, no one gave a crap about it anymore.
Yeah, it changed.
The other thing too, with Batman leaving the Justice League, you know, that would put the Justice League on a test of its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to make, because Bats leaves, then the Justice League, we mentioned Justice League Detroit, it just goes downhill out thereafter. I mean, in fairness, who is buying a book that's got Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Vibe, and Gypsy as the heroes?
Yeah.
Nope.
Nevertheless, the history of the Justice League was well established for decades. But with Batman leaving, could it survive? Yeah. By this point, yeah. So why not take a gamble? Yeah.
Yeah, but then when Batman leaves, it survives. But then when Superman leaves, yeah, we'll survive. Then Wonder Woman leaves, and then Green Arrow, and then you're like, well, hold on a second. Yeah, so
they're pushing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think as much as this book, as much as Batman and the Outsiders shows a different dynamic for sure, different powers, cool characters, and it still shows Batman being able to hold his own against superpowers, villains, and whatnot. It does again point to the idea that without bats, it can fall apart, which is a bit worrying for DC. But hey ho, what you gonna do? Right, there you go. Our side team books, all done and done. Some interesting books on there.
Yeah, I'm surprised there were. I'm surprised that we didn't go more Marvel, because I think Marvel has way more side teams.
I think Marvel do have more side teams. You're right, but I think, as we said at the start of the show, the majority of them start with the letter X, and I think if I'm honest, I think we've done a good job with a fair change of different topics on that one. I think because if we did all X books, it'd be like, oh well, Claremont was this and Claremont's on this and Claremont's on that.
Well, mine's a half X-Men book.
Yeah, I suppose. But I should have thought of Excalibur. You never know. We might revisit the X's of the X world.
Yeah. X's.
Yeah, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah.
We'd love to talk Madeline Pryor.
Oh, again.
Bring your charts. Bring your charts and graphs.
Yeah. Oh my dear God. All right, there you go. So 3 up, 3 down with some extras thrown in for good measure. It's been an absolute blast. Professor, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Johnny.
13, thank you for your time.
Of course.
And your insights. Stick around on the UCPN for other podcasts. You saw the trailer for it earlier. Crisis in the Toyverse and K-pop is still out there. So if you like your K-pop music, go check them out. And that's it. We're done for another fortnight. We're off to commiserate. Apparently, the Patriots and Dolphins are going to play to a 0-0 tie.
We could only hope. I don't want anybody having bragging rights in next episode.
Oh, I tell you what, if we win, I'm not going to brag anything at all. Someone put on Twitter before I got it was great. They're like, "You're overreacting. It's only week 4. Tua comes back. We can win that. We can be 3 games, 17. What's that? We can be 14-3 by the time." I'm like, 14-3. Give your head a shake. Come on. That's the score we're going to lose by every game. Never mind what our record's going to be. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Yep. Yeah, the clamoring for replacing Jacoby with Drake May has been growing every week, and
I think that's a bad shout.
Nope, you gotta just let him sit on the sidelines. Because what are you gonna do? You want to put him in there to get crushed by a non-existent offensive line?
Yep.
Like Jacoby's getting crushed.
Yeah.
You're gonna put your rookie in there?
Nope. Hold your rookie back.
Yep.
Jacoby will help get him through this. Next year, draft some offensive linemen, go free agency, do something, get a stud receiver from somewhere, and jobs.
Yeah, create a spin-off team.
There you go. Exactly. That would be the practice squad, right? The practice squad.
It'd be scary if the practice squad wins. That's what I think. What's happening in Miami. That's why we have so many starting quarterbacks. It's like the practice squad won a scrimmage. But hey ho. Right, that's it. We're done. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the show. Of course, it comes out on Wednesday, so we'll be commiserating by that point. I've been your host, Johnny Machine Hughes, and as always, adios.